So hey guys, welcome to my this new and a different video where we will be talking about how to tackle this first year university exam of 2025. And like, I personally like to share this information because it is pretty much well confusing for the first year students to tackle this exam, because we are giving the university exam for the first time, and there are various kinds of student, like some have studied more, some have studied less, some are on the average side. So we will be tackling how to prepare for this exam, and without any delay we will be starting now. So for this first year university exam, we have 6 papers of 3 subjects. Okay, paper 1, paper 2 for both of for each of the subject. Okay, now the first and the foremost way, we should go paper wise. Okay, we should study paper wise for every subject. Okay, for example, the paper 1, if the paper 1 consists of, for example, if we take physiology as the subject, physiology paper 1, so we should be well versed with general physio, nerve muscle physio, blood and its constituents, and all the topics of the paper 1. For paper 2, we will be studying separately, not in like mixing paper 1 and paper 2 syllabus. For example, if you are studying general physio, then nerve physio, then you shouldn't generally jump to paper 2 syllabus like the sensory system or the special senses or the motor system. Study paper 1 first, then paper 2. Okay, for each subject. This is the example for physio. So get well versed with all the topics coming under the headings of paper 1 and paper 2, and then study accordingly. You should study paper wise generally, because the paper wise approach is more effective than the mixed approach. Okay, now going ahead for subjects. Okay, now we have 2 weapons, most important weapons. We have Bhalani important questions PDF. Okay, and second is previous year questions. Okay, these are the 2 main things we should be covering for each subject and each paper individually. Now I will, like, if possible, I will add all the PDF which are there in my description. Okay, but for now we should cover this Bhalani's important question PDF and all the previous years questions. Like, for example, if in anat parotid gland has came in previous year, so you should do parotid gland, because there are high chances of parotid gland repeating in the current paper. Okay, now the previous year questions. Solve max to max 5 years past question papers, not more than that. Like 3 to 5 past year question papers are enough to cover all the syllabus. Okay, all the syllabus important questions which are repeated every year, and you will observe a trend that many of the questions are getting repeated alternate years or every year. Okay, so the importance of covering previous year questions or the past papers is very much significant in studying about each and every subject. So if the question gets repeated, you have gained enough confidence to attempt that question. Okay, and regarding Bhalani's important question PDF, it is equally important because there are many such questions which can be asked in your exams apart from this previous year questions. Okay, so if you cover this important question PDF of Bhalani and previous year question, your 90 to 95%, or rather 80 to 95% paper is covered. Okay, but you should be well versed with these 2 PDFs. Okay, there are questions given in this PDFs, so you should be practicing them and you will cover the syllabus very fast. Okay, and what about the past year question papers? 3 to 5 years question paper is more than enough. Okay, and you should cover each and every question of Bhalani. May it be like 1-star question, 2-star question, 4-star question, each and every question. Okay, now there are many ways to complete all the important question and all the like syllabus. Okay, basically, so there are, like, for me there are two methods of completing syllabus. Okay, and I have tried both of them. I will tell you which is the best and which has like more beneficial. Okay, which is more beneficial. Okay, so one method is directly go for Bhalani. Okay, directly go for Bhalani and cover your syllabus. Okay, for example, if we talk about physiology, and if you are studying paper 2, okay, for paper 2 everybody says neurophysio is the most important one. So for example, if we take the example of neurophysio, okay, and if there are some important question, for example muscle spindle, then we have synapses is the most repeated and the most important question in sensory system. So for example, synapses is there in Bhalani, so take synapses as the topic, read it from your standard textbook if you have read before, or the preparatory manuals. For example, we have VD Joshi for physiology, so read synapses from this, and then you should recall it frequently, revise it, and go for the exam. This is one method. And what is the other method? Other method is turn pages of standard textbook. Okay, so just a second, I will just tell you what is this method. So this is the index page of my Guyton. Okay, so I am considering physiology as the subject and paper 2 as my paper. Okay, so now what I was meaning to say, turn pages of standard textbook. So for example, if we consider this particular section, the motor system, okay, this particular section, now first chapter is introduction to motor system, okay, spinal cord. Now I have like I'm scrolling the pages, okay, I reach the subtopic introduction to motor system and spinal cord. There I saw many of the terms, many of the questions, but I found that spinal shock is repeated every year for alternate years, sorry, not every year but alternate years. So spinal shock has been repeated, so I will read spinal shock. What is spinal shock? Then in this chapter we have, like, if we correlate anatomy with this chapter, we have that transection of the spinal cord, okay, the diagram, okay, we have the nucleus, various nucleuses, okay, that diagram. Then in this chapter we have reflex, okay, a simple autonomic reflex. Another question, we have one diagram. Okay, if we consider the next chapter, cortical and brainstem control of motor function, so most important question is the pyramidal tract. Okay, we know because it is a previous year question, it is in Bhalani, and also, while, like, if you turn the pages and if you have read well or read in a normal manner also, you will realize that this is something which can be asked in the exam. And considering this question, pyramidal tract, we have the diagram, we have the theory, okay, we have the cortex, the sensory cortex, the motor cortex. So for this we have the Broca's area, we have the Wernicke's area for speech, so that question can also be asked, so therefore we should be prepared for this question. Then some topics are such that their name is only their answer. For example, the muscle spindle, motor reflexes, cerebellum, regulation of tone and posture, vestibular apparatus, basal ganglia. We know that these topics are individual question. For example, there is a question like basal ganglia, okay, a short note, a short answer question, or also a long answer question. We have to, like, show the direct pathway, indirect pathway, okay. So this is an individual question, basal ganglia. Vestibular apparatus, we have to draw the apparatus and then you have to explain it, the clinical importance, a short note. We have cerebellum. Cerebellum is a long answer question where we have to tell the pathways of the cerebellum, we have to draw the diagram of the cerebellum, then the nucleus is, okay, then muscle spindle we have to draw the diagram, okay, then you have to show the pathway, various pathways, then you have to explain it, the theory of muscle spindle, the clinical importance. So these are the individual like questions. So this is the very much effective way of learning. Like you have 20 days, so it is more than enough to learn by this system. Okay, you can just scroll the pages. Okay, so now for example, you will come across this doubt that cerebellum. Okay, now cerebellum is such a vast topic. Like if you start reading this standard textbook, and like if you read and read and read, you will get confused. Okay, so read such topics from other manuals. Like for example, we have VD Joshi. Okay, read it from VD Joshi. For example, if you have some notes, like you have studied from Prep Ladder, Marrow, or like DAMS and all, then you will just like study from their notes. No need of like reading everything. But yeah, if you find anything interesting or any like clinical correlation in standard textbook or also VD Joshi, you should read that and apply it. For example, if you have like if you studied cerebellum from Marrow, okay, now read that notes, read it from VD Joshi and correlate this, like mix the words or mix the ideas of this question, and then form one answer, and you should write it in the exam. Okay, now this was all about the completing of the method. Okay, like this method is more effective, and also I have applied this in my second year. So like my papers were too easy. Okay, now very important, like it say it a habit or something like that, but it has helped me in my first year also and in my second year also. Like after prelims, when I like sat to study, so what I did is, when I read something, I used to scribble on the paper. So okay, so one important point, use a book for scribbling. Okay, now what scribbling exactly? Now for example, if you are studying for paper 1 physiology, then for example the topic is blood and its constituents, and in that you are studying blood coagulation. Now that coagulation pathway, like it is a bit like very volatile, so you should write it. Okay, we write it in a short manner, like for example only the alphabets and all. Okay, but you should understand it. Okay, for example, you have drawn this clotting pathway, okay, here, okay, in this paper. Okay, after this, when you come and study this clotting pathway, okay, you should read this, you recall this, you revise it, and after an exam, this paper, okay, for example the question comes, what is clotting pathway? You write there is one extrinsic pathway, intrinsic pathway. You first give some introduction, then extrinsic pathway, intrinsic pathway. Okay, then you draw this diagram, okay, showing extrinsic pathway, intrinsic pathway. Then you should explain this in words. Okay, this is extrinsic pathway, this is intrinsic pathway, then what happens after that, then what is the clinical correlation. Okay, what is the clinical correlation, then what is the like actual the whole summary of the physiology. Okay, what are the disorders associated with it. Okay, so this is how you read for the exam, okay, and write. So by this paper, by scribbling on this paper, okay, by scribbling this much, you will write 3 to 4 pages of a short answer question. Okay, scribbling in short, this is the pathway, this is the clinical correlation, this is the importance, this is something, this is something, this is something, this is something. Okay, and you write as in a sentence format, in a point-wise manner in the exam, and you easily fill 3 to 4 pages. Okay, so this is one of the most important habit I feel to be done. Okay, and like for example, if you are writing some answer, okay, let's say you are writing an answer for acclimatization. Okay, you know acclimatization is a very important question, and it can be asked as a short answer question also and as a long answer question also. So for example, you write this acclimatization. Okay, acclimatization, and it will hardly take 10 minutes. Okay, now you write this question, you like, it is more effective to like recall what you have written. Okay, so acclimatization is your best topic. For example, you have physio paper 1, physio paper 2. Okay, physio paper. Okay, and a day before, you like, you are reading and reading, you are confused, you are in a panic situation, and you like, you left the topic acclimatization. Okay, now if you left the topic acclimatization and if it comes from the exam, you will remember it because you have written it. Okay, and if one day before you come across this page, okay, acclimatization, now if you read this, the whole points, you will start to recall this. You will gain some confidence because you will recall so fast, like you will be shocked that I know these things. Okay, you will be a bit of relaxed and you will remember all the things. Okay, so scribbling has much more importance, I feel, because I have also done personally, and I have like recalled much of the things than I expected. So try scribbling on a piece of paper, and then one day before exam, read what has been scribbled, and you will surely remember it. Now talking about individual papers for physiology, so I have referred Guyton, okay, the whole year. So I have made notes. So if made notes, refer Guyton. Okay, if you have made notes, I repeat, if you have made notes earlier and if you have read most of the things and written in Guyton or written somewhere else notes from Guyton, then refer Guyton or the notes you have made. Okay, otherwise refer VD Joshi's prep manual. Okay, or you have a third option, the notes which you had made from educational apps, Marrow Dams and all. Okay, but now here's one catch. If you are referring Guyton, like if you have made notes in Guyton, if you have read much of the topics, if you have underlined most of the things, if you have understood whole year what is in Guyton, if you have written in Guyton, then you should check for Guyton. Now the notes which you have made from educational apps like Marrow and all, read it, understand it, and if you are finding any difficulty in writing answers from it, refer VD Joshi's prep manual. And if you have not referred Guyton the whole year, refer VD Joshi. You should read VD Joshi full then. Okay, and notes which you have made from educational apps, for example Marrow and all, if you have, for example, like if you have made notes for example cardiac cycle. Okay, so for cardiac cycle you have learned that diagram and all, okay, from Marrow and all, then you should like understand it. If you are having any difficulty in writing the same information in sentence format, refer VD Joshi's prep manual, or else you can like go ahead with only your notes if you have no problem in continuing so. Okay, so this is for physiology. Then for anatomy. Okay, for anatomy, at first, if you have read BDC, Vishram Singh the whole year, and if you have made notes from them, okay, then and there only you should refer BDC and Vishram Singh at the very last moment, okay. For example, for upper limb you have read axilla and all the topics, the muscles of the forearm or the spaces in the forearm, then the muscles of the hand, the thenar muscles and hypothenar muscles. If you have read from BDC Vishram Singh and if you have made notes from it, refer them, or else the 2 volumes of Vishram Singh selective anat, okay. So the 2 volumes are more than enough for anatomy, okay. And one more thing, the notes from educational app, they are much more important, okay, for at least anat, okay. And one more thing, a diagram book, okay. Now I had an habit of maintaining a diagram book from the very first of my first year. So at the end of the year, around my 100 to 200 pages notebook was filled, and I would just turn around the pages and see the diagrams, see the labelings and the related information to it, okay. But in case if you have not prepared any diagram book, then you should prepare a diagram book now and just draw the diagram in rough, okay, and label it roughly, scribble it as fast as you can, because if you draw this diagram in rough also, you will retain some of the memory and you will remember something of the information in the exam. For example, if you are talking about axilla, now for diagram book, this is the axilla, okay, in rough, okay, in very much rough, okay. This is the humerus, now this is the muscles, okay, these and this is the rib, okay. Now this is the very rough diagram. You should draw this diagram roughly, understand it, see it from standard textbook. This is the most important point. See it from standard textbook, and then you should just draw it in the actual paper, because anat paper and without diagrams it's not done. Diagrams are must in the anat paper, okay. So you should practice diagrams, okay. Practice diagrams. This is the most important part. So these are some pages from my diagram book, random pages I have just taken clicks of, okay. So I have numbered and labeled the diagrams, not that beautiful, but the concept is understood, or the teacher or the faculty who is checking my paper will understand what I have written exactly, what I have drawn exactly, and the labeling should be proper, okay. Though your diagram look not too beautiful, but the labeling should be proper, okay. For example, what should I show, which diagram? Yeah, the brachial plexus. Now this is a very simple, a line diagram, literally a line diagram of the brachial plexus, but I have, see, in this I have labeled the nerve, the divisions, okay, the cords, division, trunks and roots. Then also I have numbered, okay, each of the nerve, and I have below it I have written the numbers and what number signifies which nerve, okay. So whether it is a line diagram or something like that, you should label it well. You should show that you know the concept, okay. So this is the importance of diagram book, okay. Now this diagram, the development of the tongue, the tympanic membrane. See the 3 diagrams of the tympanic membrane, the development of the tongue. These are all literally line diagrams, but I have labeled it well. I have drawn something related to this, so the examiner will understand that you know the things, okay. Same about the Ansa cervicalis, the 11th nerve, trochlear nerve. I have drawn line diagrams. Okay, there are much more, but I have like selected random pictures of someone. Okay, now coming to the last one, that is biochemistry. Okay, biochemistry, at first standard books. Okay, notes from them if you have. Okay, notes from them. Now standard books like Vasudevan, Satyanarayan and all, if you have like written notes from them, refer that first, then refer Jambulkar. Okay, Jambulkar notes. Okay, and full. Do not skip anything from Jambulkar notes, anything, because like from my personal experience, when I like read Jambulkar in all, okay, I read everything from Jambulkar. When I like gave my paper of biochemistry, both the papers, each and every SAQ was like from Jambulkar. Like there were, for our pattern, there were SAQs, like 9 SAQs were there, and we have to solve 8 of them. Okay, my all 9 SAQs like were, I was able to answer all 9 of them. Okay, though reading from Jambulkar. Okay, till frankly speaking, till second internal, I had read Satyanarayan and Vasudevan, like a mixture of them both. But after second internal, I was like, I stick to Jambulkar notes. Okay, then I didn't read any of the standard books after my second internal. I read Jambulkar notes only. Okay, but Jambulkar should be at your fingertips. Okay, now coming to the next part of biochemistry, like many of the people find difficulty in reading Jambulkar notes. The suggestion for them is, you go to Jambulkar sir's YouTube channel. Okay, there is one YouTube channel of Jambulkar sir, go to it. Now if like there are two options, first see the video in 2x. Okay, and now you can do two things by seeing the video simultaneously. You can write, okay, scribble the notes. If you are comfortable, you can understand by, if you understand by scribbling, you scribble the notes, or you should like keep notes parallelly. You should keep the notes, Jambulkar notes, parallelly, and you can like just read from it while seeing the video on 2x. Okay, or you can write. Okay, I have tried both the ways, but like I prefer this method more, like reading Jambulkar only, not seeing the video. Like I had seen the video, I think I had seen for the second internal, and for some part of the prelims. Okay, after that I only read Jambulkar notes, not saw the video, but only read Jambulkar notes. All of the content from Jambulkar, I hadn't skipped any of them. Many of the MCQs are also from Jambulkar notes, so refer Jambulkar notes. Okay, so this is, I think, the wrap up for the video. Thank you. And in summary, I would like to say, for physio, you should know flow charts and the actual physiology. Okay, then for anat, you should be having diagrams ready, okay, for each and every question where possible. Okay, and for biochem, you should know all the information related to the, like for example, carbohydrate or fats or some like excretion, the glucuronide pathway and all. You should know all the things. Okay, Jambulkar in short. Okay, So this is the must know things for all the 3 subjects. And also I would like to add in like biochemistry, read Anita Chalak clinical cases. So Dr. Anita Chalak ma'am is HOD in our college itself, and she has written a good book on clinical cases. Like I had read that book. It is not too expensive and it is very helpful in our preparation. Like the way the cases has been presented, and like the clinical correlates, the clinical biochemistry, it is very nicely given in that book. You should read that book once. It is very helpful, and the way it is written, like for example, let me give you an example. If it is a case of G6PD deficiency, okay, and the first question obviously will be what is your current diagnosis. You write G6PD deficiency and you leave it here. But in this book you will find G6PD deficiency, then the supporting factors, supporting clinical features, so and so. Then the next question, the test for D6PD deficiency. It is very well given in this book. You should read this book once. Okay, so Zamburkar and Dr. Anita Chalak's clinical cases. Okay, these cases are mostly from the past year question papers and also some of the new cases, but they are very easy cases, and it is given very nicely in this book. So I think this is the wrap up for the video, and thank you. Keep watching, please subscribe.